Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to each and every single one of us. I believe that you're all doing great, even as we get the chance and the opportunity of being able to share again in this nice session that I have prepared for us. Nice. Now, as titled from the video, today I want us to see on some of the sacrifices one must make as they learn German, right? The sacrifices behind studying German. All right. Now, before we get into the sharing, I would like to know personally, I want to know your personal story. Go ahead and comment below. How has your German learning journey been so far? I want you to be very honest, right? How has it been so far for you? Has it been easy? What are some of the sacrifices that you've had to make along the way? And I'd like you to speak very honestly. I realize that one of the things that can make one quit as they learn German is when they have some pent up issues. So it's important that when you get a forum to speak about it, share it out, right? Even if you've already gone to German already, I'd like you to also comment below. This might encourage someone who is also learning. You that you've gone to Germany, how was it for you? What are some of the things you had to sacrifice? What are some of the things you gained? What did you lose? And so on, yeah? Because truth be told, as you learn the German language, there are things you have to sacrifice, the things you might lose, and then of course the things you're going to also gain on the same. All right. So what are these sacrifices that we keep talking about? Now, the number one sacrifice I've seen, or I personally had to endure when I was learning German, is time. Now, this is going to hit many, right? Time. Because you can imagine as an adult, you have to keep on working, right? You're going to the office every day, Mondays to Fridays. Sometimes you have to go there also on Saturdays and Sundays, right? Or maybe you're a nurse and you have to work 2 shifts, right? So it gets so impossible for one to think about studying. So this time is one of the areas I always insist before you learn the German language, consider on how you're going to sacrifice time. Because if I don't get this planned out, eventually you will always give out excuses for not attending classes, for always being absent, for not doing House of Gabi. That's the truth of the matter, right? And I'm not saying this judgmentally. I'm saying this so that we acknowledge it is one of the things that one has to purposefully sacrifice, and that is the time. So it means then, as you're going to learn the language, you're going to need to be a good time manager. Because as I said, I know most of us are adults. You can imagine going to the office 9 to 5. Sometimes you've gone over, like you've done an overwork, right? And then you think about, hey, House of Gabi is also here, or family is also here, children. So you end up getting mixed up, right? But eventually, if you've chosen the tough path of learning the language, then you will need to sacrifice time. Because you know, at the end of it, when the exams come, it won't matter. Oh, you know, I didn't have time. I would have passed. It's just that I didn't have time. That won't matter, right? So it means then you have to unescapably think of time. You have to sacrifice time to ensure that you learn the language. Because I speak about this so passionately because I've seen many who really wanted to learn German, but they didn't sacrifice time. And you know, there is no way you can want to do well in it if you don't give it time. All right? Anything that one does, whether it's a relationship with the family, a relationship with a spouse, whatever, you know, any kind of commitment, right? It goes to time. If you do not slot out time for it, eventually it diminishes, right? Maybe you and your family, if you don't slot out time for them, the relationship diminishes. If you don't slot out time for your spouse, it diminishes, right? So the same thing also happens with German. You have to sacrifice time for it. And it doesn't have to be much time. It could be 20 minutes daily, or it could be like 30 or an hour daily. Compare these two people. I think I made this comparison some times back. Compare someone who goes through the German classes 20 or 30 minutes daily to someone who does like 3 hours once a week. If you end up comparing these two, the person who does 20 minutes but daily has a higher chance of scoring or getting well than someone who does 3 hours once or twice and then disappears. All right. So the bottom line is time has to be sacrificed. Okay. All right then. Now the next thing that you are also going to be required to sacrifice is, let me see, is commitment, or I could equate to consistency. You see the way they go together, commitment and consistency. There is no way I would want to pass my German if I'm not going to be consistent in it, right? Like, I come today, I disappear 4 days, I come tomorrow, disappear 3 days. So there is irregularity in the attendance. So these ones eventually end up affecting me because there's a way it's connected with the morale, right? Morale connects to consistency. You realize that if you do it as a habit, as a routine, it becomes part of you. Have you done something so long such that it has become a part of you, but it doesn't even scare you no more? Compared to if I only do it once and disappear, you will try to give excuses. I'm a human, man. I need to relax. They normally come like that, yeah? I'm a human, man. I need to relax. I need to slow it a bit. And then, let's say, for example, you have people also who slow you down. Those who will tell you, you're studying too much. You should take it easy. Well, no, shut down all those excuses and be consistent. You will be thankful to yourself later on once you've successfully done and passed it. So consistency and commitment, you will need to do to commit this also. All right. Nice. Now the next thing, I think this will be the last one I want to refer to. The next thing one will also need to sacrifice is their resources. That is in reference to money. All right. Unless you've been lucky to get a sponsorship, because I know that those who might get sponsorship to help with the school fees, right? So the next thing is on money, resources, your money. Now, if you check in most of the German colleges, you're going to realize that it's a bit expensive to learn the language, right? Yes. Now, that is one of the heartfelt sacrifices many complain, but it's important. Whatever you, love, or you've decided to, you have to commit to it through paying. So I know, especially for us adults, sometimes it's difficult when you think about rent, you think about your children's school fees, you think about your family, and then again comes the German where you have to pay for it. So it is also going to force you to sacrifice money to it. All right? You see, now many try to avoid this by going through shortcuts. They want, there's this meme that has been trending. I know someone cheaper. Right? So you end up going to spend cheap, and then eventually you find that time has gone and you haven't learned as per the standard of the requirement. So I say, if you've decided or if you've chosen this path of German, don't do it miserly. Look for a reputable school or person and then invest there and learn with intentionality. Now, there are those also who want to cheat. Maybe they find a tutor and then they maybe disturb in paying, or maybe they do careless paying, all right? And then maybe they disappear. All right, and then comes the reaping day, the exams comes, and then God says, you did somebody badly. How do you want to pass? It eventually ends up coming back to you. And this, I want to address those who normally scheme, those who want to get a class, maybe they get a good tutor, and then they scheme. They get classes, they promise, I will pay you, right? Now let me be honest, I will pay you. And then they get classes for month 1, month 2, and then when the class is almost going to be over the course, they disappear, all right, without communicating with the teacher or maybe the institute, all right? And then they just go and do exams, they don't do well. Now you've put yourself in prison. So you have to sacrifice genuinely and honestly and pay, all right? Because you realize what you really, really love, you normally invest in it. You invest your time in it, you invest your money in it. But if you want to do it like shortcuts, I know someone cheaper, you learn it chaotically without any proper foundation. In the long run, this one ends up following you in the higher levels. So let's say, for example, I did my A1 without a good foundation. I just did it on my own, and I'm not trying to say that Duolingo is bad or something, but Duolingo is mostly basic. It's good as a supplementary to a solid school. But if you only use, like, you're in A1 and then you only learn through Duolingo only, all right, unless it's the premium feature, you will end up getting the very, very basics of the same, okay? So those are the three things, guys, I would like you to really sacrifice on if you truly, truly are serious in learning German with all intentionality, all right? And guys, I hope this has helped you shape up even as you continue the learning. What is always my wish is, as you learn, you get the very, very best out of it, right? So that eventually you will be in a position to use it. I normally emphasize that don't just learn for the purpose of maybe a certificate. No. Yes, that is a bonus, but the main thing should be that you are also in a position to use it in your day-to-day conversations when you successfully go to Germany. Now, those of us who are only learning it for exams, if I'm only doing it for exams, one can simply cheat. I mean, just find codes, pass and then go. And then you find when you've gone, you're now not able to communicate. And that's why for me, and I'm always brutally honest with my students, I don't give out any cheating materials, because I want you to really learn, go through the process, so that after you've passed the exams, you are also in a position to use it, even when you've gone to German. All right? So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope this has been helpful to you. I continue to wish you all the best, even as you continue with this studying. As I always like to say, Übung macht den Meister. Practice makes you perfect. All right? Well then, das ist alles für heute. Tschüss, and I will see you in the next one.